What's going on? Happy Tuesday, travel family. Point Noirians, welcome back to another broadcast from Point Noir, home of the Point Noir podcast, where we not only inspire but equip men of color to go out and see the world for themselves and hopefully experience growth and progress in their lives through travel. I think it's a pretty dope thing, so I'm so glad you're here with us for our 40th session of the Point Noir podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jerry the Third, aka Kimono Jack, and we're going to have another great time today. Now, before I introduce our special guest who's got his travel perspective and perspective on life to share with us, I want to share some reviews that we have been getting in because we could definitely use more of them. People love reading these things, and I thought it's about time I shared some on the air. So let's read this first one by J.O. Williams. Appreciate you, bro. And his review says, as a black man who loves to travel, it's great to see a budding community of like-minded people pursuing their journeys around the world. These stories are important, and I am happy to have discovered the podcast. Appreciate you, fam, and thank you for sharing that little bit of positive feedback. Everything has been positive on the show so far, so if you all listening right now have had a great experience, enjoy listening to the show, please share that so others can also be inspired and encouraged to at least check us out and see what we have going on, because we think these men who are sharing the stories have a lot of value. And of course, as always, we're trying to get more men interested in traveling, get them sponsored with their passports, just get them open to the idea. So every comment, I know it's a couple minutes out of your day, I would so appreciate it, and others will too in ways that they probably haven't even imagined yet. So that all being said, leave us a review. Be honest, I'll read it on the air too. I'd love to get a terrible review. Don't go shooting for that, ain't no prizes for that, but I'll share that too. We're totally transparent here. So that all being said, let's introduce today's special guest in the next section. Joining us today at The Point as our special guest is Mike Malcolm. Make sure to follow him on Instagram at MikeG.God and follow his latest project, Weed Travel Food. So that's at Weed Travel Food on IG, and the website is weedtravelfood.com. And yes, I said weed as in the marijuanas. So if that is not your jam or not your vibe, listen, I'm just going to let you know up front, we talk a lot about weed during the show. Mike is a traveler, a weed connoisseur, a businessman, a successful entrepreneur, and there's so much to his story. I think you'll get a lot out of it. And one of the coolest aspects about it is how his success in business and how he's just been open to travel has not only been kind of spurred by his mother from an early age, but he's also followed some of her business models, reading contracts when he was a kid while she was working and traveling and just being a boss. So if you're into black success stories around business, this has a lot of that in that. If you're into awesome food, awesome travel, and weed, we also have a lot of that in here too. So it's a pretty diverse session. I think you'll really enjoy it. So as always, grab your refreshing beverage of choice, maybe add a little bit of greenery if that's your thing today. It could be a vibe, who knows? Find your coziest, comfiest corner of a couch, curl up, and get ready to enjoy today's session. I'll see you on the flip side. Yo, what's going on, Mike? Thanks for joining us today at The Point. How you feeling today, bro?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm easy. I think we're both in comfortable situations right now.
Man, I'm feeling very comfortable right now,
Right? Man, I was looking forward to this interview, man, because just engaging on IG, like your energy was super chill. I know we got a couple interests, and I'm sitting here with my glass of gin. It's watered down, folks, so we're going to make it through this hour. But I know you sitting up there twisting up. You good?
Yes, sir. I got some really pretty purple haze I just rolled up. It's beautiful. You're going to see it real soon.
I can't wait, man. Let's get into it, bro. Let's talk about how you got into traveling, kind of where you're from in the States too, rep where you're from. So let's start from the beginning. How'd you get into adventuring, bro?
Yeah, for sure. So again, my name is Mike Malcolm. I'm from Chicago. How I actually started traveling was my mom. She used to work for Amoco Oil Company when I was a kid. She didn't work for them. She had her own business. She was a contractor, and that kept her traveling. And then I used to go with her on like little trips during the summertime or whatever. And then my aunt, she was stationed in Darmstadt, Germany. And so I went over there for when I was like 12 years old for 3 weeks. And that really like blew my mind because I remember like I really wanted like some presents that year. My mom was like, "Nah, you going to Germany?" And I'm like, "Nah, I want toys." You know what I'm saying? I want some video games. She was like, "Nah, you about to go to Europe."
Right. She gave you the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, she gave me that gift, man, and I really wasn't feeling it at the time, but you know, it was what it was. But really, that opened my mind. Like that trip, I remember it very vividly, only because I love to tell this story. Is because that I remember that year right before I went, we were learning something about Pompeii in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the city of
Yeah.
Pompeii that was destroyed by Mount Vesuvius. You know, and at the time, I had never heard the story. I didn't care nothing about it. I remember being super bored in class, bro. A week later, I was standing in Pompeii.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? And I
That's
remember, I was
wild,
like,
bro.
bro, I was 12 years old, and blew my mind. Like I was reading about that place, this super ancient place that had been destroyed by this volcano, and had something to do with it. Whatever it was, I was reading. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm standing there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
so ever since then, like I always valued travel. You know, I traveled a little bit. That was my first time in Europe. And then on that trip, me and my mom, we traveled like all around the countries because you know they countries are like our states. You could go a lot of places just by bus, you know, and other places just by
Yeah.
ferry. So that was my younger travel, and then went to a couple places like in the tropics when I was older. But my real travel really didn't start until really like I'm 36 and my travel I really didn't start prioritizing taking my travel really serious until my 30th birthday. I always wanted to travel somewhere for my 30th birthday where I had never been and where I didn't speak the language. And
Mm-hmm.
that year I just so happened to go to Costa Rica by myself.
Okay.
Fulfilled that lifelong dream. And then after that I was just kind of like I wanted to do it again. So, I mean, I went back to Paris again because I remember I was sick when I went to Paris when I was a kid with my mom. I always kind of really wanted to go back again. So I did that, you know, just on from there, you know.
So let's take it back a little bit because shout out to your mom working for Amco. I don't even know if they're still around, but I remember
No,
seeing those
not.
stations when I was a kid on the East Coast.
Yeah. They got bought by BP. Yeah, for y'all it's not familiar. Amoco is an old gas company. They got bought out by BP. Amoco used to be Standard Oil, and then they got bought out. They got turned into Amoco, and then they got bought out by BP. I don't even know what they call themselves now.
Right. Yeah, man. But I mean, big shout out to your mom for encouraging the travel. Do any of the trips like domestically stand out for you as a kid? Like, cause I mean, Chicago is rich in culture and heritage. You got a lot of dope stuff there. But was there ever a time you went on a trip with your mom and you're like, damn, we definitely don't have this back at home, or hey, I've never seen this before?
Probably, yeah, probably. I mean, I remember going to the Redwood Forest, you know, as a kid and seeing the super crazy tall trees. We used to go either to California or Florida, and we used to alternate every summer. So
Oh
sometimes,
wow.
yeah, and we did that. So I know, like, one thing I really took out of everything really was as much as I love travel, I wouldn't probably encourage people to do it with their kids when they like really, really young. Like, because most of those
Okay.
trips I know I went on, I don't remember any of it. I remember that trip when I was 12, you know what I mean? But those trips that I
Right.
took from like 5 to 10, I don't remember any of that. But, you know, I know I went, you know, like I know I've been to a bunch of states and that's what it mostly was. It was all domestic travel. I remember just enjoying just to travel. You know, at the time it was very kind of regular to me. You know, I guess I didn't realize how rare that was for people to travel until I got older.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the time, I can't say that anything was all that meaningful, only because it was quite normal. But again, as I got like that one trip, though, it was that one trip in particular that turned that light bulb.
Yeah, I mean that's real, and that's real transparency because it's easy to say to hype stuff up when you're older, but it's like if you didn't remember as a kid, you didn't, and that's what kids got different interests. You know what I'm saying? They trying to figure out who they're gonna hang out in the sandbox with. You
Yeah,
know, they trying to get toys for Christmas.
like
Meanwhile, you done figured out the whole damn law of attraction at 12,
yeah,
looking at Pompeii in class, and next week you there, like, oh
bro,
shit, what I just do?
that was crazy. That was super crazy. I promise you, my heart stopped. Even at that young of an age, I recognized it. Like, oh wow, you know.
Oh man, you've been like, I'm so woke, so
Right,
woke.
right. All the time. But like my mom would be like, "Oh, remember that time we went to Seattle and and you did this and you did that?" I'm like, "No, you know, no, I don't remember it."
Right.
You know? Or I've probably been to Disneyland or Disney World. I've been to both of them at least 4 times. I probably only remember like one time, you know.
Wow, so you was really out there getting it as a kid. And I'm curious, did your mom ever, share any more context about why it was important that you travel, or was she ever encouraging it for you as you grew up later in life? Like, was there like an agenda or an objective behind her bringing you on these trips?
Man, my mom was a business is she's still here. My mom was a businesswoman, and she's probably my biggest supporter. You know, me and her are real. I'm an only child on my mom's side. I got brothers and sisters on my father's side, but
Hmm.
my mom raised me as a single mom, and because she traveled so much, I actually grew up at my grandmother's house with a house full of people. So even though my mom always made bank, but she hustled so hard that she was rarely there. So I learned a lot of just business from her. And that's why I wanted to clarify, like, she didn't work for Amoco back in those days in the 80s. They worked together. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was a
Yeah.
contractor with her own business. And I saw the contracts. Like, that's what she put on my head when I was young. She used to let me read the contracts that she signed. Like, bro, my mom, now this might be TMI, and it was in the 80s. But my mom was making, I
Yeah.
remember one of the contracts, it was like $250 an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, again,
Yes.
she was an entrepreneur, so she had cost as well. But I just remember, like, I don't know how many hours that was for, and how long that was for, but I remember that dollar amount. It was like $250 an hour.
We still trying to get to 250 an hour. Like, shout out to
Yeah.
your mom. Shout out for Black women doing business, getting it done, working with the big wigs rather than for them. I mean, that's a story in and of itself right there.
So that's the type of stuff that my mom always put into me. So she always encouraged me to like travel and go to school and get a job and do. But more than anything, she taught me that I could do really anything that I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
I saw that as a young age. So even like the travel stuff, that was her because when she traveled, I grew up at my grandmother's house. I'm from 115th and Laughlin. Anybody know that's in Morgan Park in Chicago. It's not a terrible neighborhood, but it's a hood. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
ain't like it's not
Right.
like a greeny. I ain't trying to make it out to that, but it's a hood still. So a lot of the travel and stuff. My mom used to just want me to be out, keep me out of trouble, and give
Yeah.
me something to look forward to. So if I did right, we would go on a trip.
So did you notice any differences between you and your peers let's definitely talk about this trip when you were 12, when you went to Europe, to Germany. Did you notice some things different about your outlook in life, even at that young age compared to your peers? Did they think anything of the fact that you were traveling? Because I'm sure they had to know.
Yeah, they knew. That's a good question. So a bit loaded. Was there any difference? Yeah. Well, for one, I always been able to bring my guys with me in a way where I never felt like because I had some privilege that I had to flaunt it over anybody or I was any better. So I'm sure like a lot of my guys, maybe they definitely knew about it. I'm sure they was a little bit envious, but we was all brothers, and like
Right.
I just all brought it back home and just talk to them about everything I saw. And you know what I'm saying? Like I do the same thing now, like when I be traveling, I go all these different places. A lot of my guys ain't never been there. So many of my homeboys don't even have passports, even now, for a lot of different reasons. And
Yeah.
but when I travel, it ain't a flex. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's why I
Hmm.
said a little bit loaded question because maybe it's because it's been so long. I'm still cool with a lot of the guys that I known for years since I was 12. Like a lot, I'm still cool with a lot of my friends from the hood, even though I don't live in the hood. But a lot of them they still good for me because I always tried to at least be me. And like I said, anything I did, it wasn't never a flex. It was like, man, I'm representing. Like even now, bro, when I travel all over the world, I always buy me a fresh White Sox hat before I leave.
Right. Right. That's what's up. That's real.
That's my one ritual that I do. I don't do much, but I always travel with a brand new White Sox cap. So, because I always hear in the airport, Chicago, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, and that question wasn't even on a flex point because you ain't that kind of cat. And maybe you were at 12, but I'd never assume that. Maybe even in terms of what you want to be in the future. I mean, sometimes travel has given me ideas for like, oh, wait a second, there's a brother or a sister out here in Bali just organizing trips for a living. Like, damn, I've never seen that at home. And just,
yeah.
maybe you saw some stuff and people didn't quite see the vision because they hadn't been there. I was asking about differences more like that.
Yes and no, maybe, I don't, I still don't. like that, the example you gave, of course, that didn't exist back then when at such a young age. Again, I'm 36. So,
Right.
in like travel blogging wasn't really done, like, the internet really wasn't.
Right.
So, that wasn't the case. I definitely realized that it was a bigger world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That experience within itself let me know just so much stuff. You know what I mean? Just how people interacted. I remember a lady actually came up to me at when I was in Germany, because I remember telling my mom, this lady told me that she hated the way that we got
Yeah.
treated in America. Now, I was 12 years old when she said this stuff. She asked,
Right.
lady just struck up conversation with me and asked me where I was from. I really didn't even know. Even at that time, I didn't know what she was talking about.
Right. What a big statement.
Yeah, but I remember going back and telling my mom, like, that was odd. You know what I'm saying? This lady told me she felt bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's not such a straight line like, oh, I just made those connections like that, or I just realized it was like a lot of little things that again fold out over time. Me personally, I've always been just a curious, interested person. Like, I'm interested in all type of stuff that don't even have nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always was a
Right.
reader. I always did well in school. And so, me thinking I could do whatever I want to do in business, that was I was on that wave anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was always kind of I always wanted to have my own business, but I always knew that if I could work anywhere, and like I was just interested in a lot of different stuff. So, I always knew I was going to be doing something interesting. One thing I didn't think I was going to be doing is what I actually ended up doing, which was real estate.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also interesting now that you mention it, is several of the guests that have been on the show, some of the Point Noir alumni have been involved in real estate, and it's really interesting. At least I can count 4,
Yeah.
including you.
Yeah, man, real estate is great. So, my cousin who grew up with me at my grandmother's house, she lived there as well. She's 5 years older than me though. We grew up like brother and sister. And to this day we still really, really close. And when I was 18, she started her real estate appraisal company, and
Mm-hmm.
her first contract was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And my cousin, she's beautiful. So she used to be afraid just to go into these homes by herself. So I used to go with
Yeah.
her just to keep her company going into these board ups. And then after 2 or 3 homes, I was like, hey, what are we looking for? And then that's how I started helping her. I went to Northern Illinois University for 2 years after I graduated. So from 2002, I'm from 2000 to 2002, and then I would always help her when I came home from school. And then summer of 2002, we made so much money I didn't go back to school.
Smart man. Smart man. And then I got the bag. I said, forget this degree. I'm good. I got the paper.
Well, I did go back to school. It's funny, like I said, life is just crazy, right? So I didn't go back to school. I made a lot of money, but then I also saw the bubble that was happening in real estate.
Okay.
In 2006, I did go back to school. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because I remember telling my cousin, like, look, this real estate stuff, I think everybody's about to go to jail. Like, it's so crazy out here. You know what I mean? Real estate was like the wild, wild. It was like a drug game. Like, it was super crazy
It was
in the
wild.
oh man, in like 2000, 2005, 2006. You know what I'm saying? 2002, 4. We saw all type of crazy stuff. So I was telling her like, yeah, I think I want to go back to school and get a quote unquote real job. And so I did. I went back to school and got my degree in electrical engineering. And I worked in my field before. I was working in my field before I even graduated, and I had a great job. But I got laid off 3 times in 9 months because I graduated. I graduated in the fall of 2008, which was literally the fall of 2008.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
everything, the entire economy crashed. So I kept getting hired, but then the contract that people hired me for, they would lose it. So then I would get laid off.
Yeah.
So then finally I was like, man, never again. When I got laid off the last time, I knew it was going to happen. And I told my cousin, and she was like, man, if I wanted to come back, I could. And so I did. That was in 2009. And then in 2012, by 2012, 3 years later, I had so much business, I kind of outgrew like the small mom and pop stuff we was doing, and moved to another brokerage that could like better support me in my business.
That's wild. Shout out to you for going through that. It's a whole lifetime movie right there, bro. That's
Bro, that's what I'm telling you, bro. That's why I say I'm trying to move through it fast, but that's what I said. It's a lot. And I don't ever want. I tell people all the time, how much time you got, because I don't ever try to simplify.
Yeah.
anything of the stuff that I do, and so much that I do now, it feel like it comes natural. But that's just me learning along the way, and so much got me to where I am now. Like I said, I feel I took my niece out for lunch the other day, and she was like, "You old." That was the first time anybody ever said that, but she
Oh
18.
snap! Right.
But I'm double her age.
You could be her dad, yeah. Well, I love hearing it, man. I appreciate you being willing and open and transparent to share it because it's a black success story about a black man having success. And really, like as far as I'm concerned, you just really getting started. And we'll talk about that on the flip side. But the thing is, we often have these pictures of success that are limited to just getting a college degree, just getting a job. Forget, quitting school, going back, finding these different ways to provide for yourself to have success. Like I really think that more of the people that are going to make it are going to have career paths and experiences much more like yours, which are a little bit disjointed, but always growing throughout the process rather than you just going to school, going to college, getting a job and, traveling when you're 60. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely. Oh yeah, I definitely don't understand that mindset. Like what I know is travel involves a lot of walking. So you know
I want all
what
my original knees. I want all my original parts.
exactly. Yeah, like me and my girl walked through Paris, and it was like, man, laid down at the end of the night. I was like, could you imagine doing this? You know what I mean, for the first time while you trying to climb up the type of the Arc de Triomphe. There ain't no elevator. At least
Ain't
not
no
for me.
elevator.
Yeah, you got to walk up.
I've been there on the other side. I used to be a tour guide in Paris for about a year, leading a Black Paris tour, history
Oh,
tour.
that's dope. Okay.
Yeah, man, but it was a lot of people. I mean, real distinguished in their careers. You're talking judges, superintendents, just, successful business people coming out and walking the streets of Paris with me for 8 hours, my guy.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I could imagine. I could definitely see that though. Yeah, I probably walked for 8 hours, but one of those days.
Easy, bro. And I was just like, well, hats off to you, but you take it easy now.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you gotta go get rubbed down after. No, that's for sure, and that's good. That's cool though. Like I said, man, I always been kind of like just learning about different stuff. So again, I did well in school when I got my electrical engineering degrees because I like electronics. I always been kind of like a techie or whatever. But that was the thing. Once I actually started working in my field, before I even got laid off the first time, I would tell my girl like, man, I hated my job. And yeah, man, it just it I remember thinking because it was a far suburbs. I had to get up super early and drive out, like, and then I would drive back home. I would be tired. I wouldn't want to do nothing. I'm like, man, I would only be want to go out on the weekends. I'm like, is this really gonna be my life? Like, I can't. But I was getting paid well, and so when they laid me off, they really did me a favor.
Dude, there's so much opportunity for people today, and I think your story, just this little bit of it, will encourage some people to explore some things differently. Because shit's been sweet right now, but when stuff gets shaken up, man, go for your not your dream, go for what makes you happy.
Yeah, or just pay attention to what I like to call it too is just paying attention to what's going on around you and being aware of where you are and what's happening around you. I always been really big on that. That's what I'm saying. I felt everything that was coming in the real estate market, even though I didn't
Yeah,
necessarily understand how deep it really was. Like I knew I should go and get I try to get a job because the real estate stuff was going to crash. But what I didn't realize is it was going to take down the entire system with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you just got
right.
to be in. I think people just got to be open to, and like I said, just be open to opportunity.
Yeah, and shout out to that curiosity and the courage to do it. But let's fast forward a little bit to when you made travel a priority. You mentioned your 30th birthday, going out to Costa Rica by yourself. What changed
Yeah,
for you out of all the experience you done had, all the success you had? What changed at 30 that you said, I'm going to make travel a priority and commit to it?
yeah, because I had met when I went out there, I met a bunch of expats that were
Hmm.
living in, in Costa Rica, and that was the first time I'd ever met anybody who did just that. Like, well, I just some of them actually did it for business reasons, but it was interesting to me that just the concept of just leaving for real, like like you could leave, right? Because like I don't know if I had that even with the little bit of traveling I had done before, and again I had been in Jamaica a few times before this 30th birthday. I had been to the Bahamas. I had been to Canada a couple of times. But I had never really started traveling. And that idea of like, man, people just really are, like that traveling with intention, you know what I mean? Or like,
Right.
I think I had probably I always meet, I'm sure you have as well, traveling. I always meet Australians, right?
I
Right?
rarely,
All,
but yeah, it happens occasionally.
dude, I meet Australians everywhere I go. I'm like, bro, y'all are the most well traveled. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be here for a week, and then I'm going here for a week, and then I'm going
Wow.
here. Like, damn, like how much vacation do y'all really have? So you know what I mean? So that's why I was like, man, and so after that point, I became intentional. Another thing, my longtime girlfriend, I've been with her since we met in college. I told her, I think, like let's start traveling for our birthdays at least. You
Yeah.
know, let's start traveling for our birthdays at least. So I know we were making some moves in 2013. So we really started like 2014 was like 2012 was when I did my trip. And that is when I kicked it off. And then we didn't do anything in 2013, but 2014 for my birthday, we went to, let me see. Oh, 2014, yeah, my birthday, we went to Paris. Let me see. And I think for her birthday, we went to Negril. 2015, we went to Qatar and Bali.
Okay.
2016, we did Egypt. No, we did Mexico. We did Tulum, Mexico, and Egypt. I want to see, that was the pyramid year. 2017, we did Cuba and South Africa, Cape Town.
Okay.
And then 2018, we did Colombia. We did Cartagena, Colombia, and what else we do? Oh, we did Tanzania and Zanzibar. I did some smaller trips as well in there. So like one of the things that I did, one of the things I've been doing is kind of like traveling out to different marijuana spots, like legal grows around the country, and kind of like checking those out. That's what I did. I was doing a lot last year.
Okay.
So yeah, man, I've just been intentional about all of it now.
So, you know what? That brings up an interesting thing. So, why don't we talk about what it is you do now around the cannabis industry, and let's talk about travel through the lens of checking out like dope weed. Like, can we talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So like that's really what I've been super passionate about lately. I mean, I always have been known, my guys, my homies will tell you I was always like that guy that like had a lot of good weed or whoever. I was super extra about it. Like I had stopped smoking blunts years ago. You know what I mean? I tell like, man, hold on. Like, man, I don't want to smoke no blunts. I used to be a
Right.
super snob about my weed. So one of my real estate clients, he got into the industry out in Colorado. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
him telling about it, whatever, and kind of like telling me I got to come out there. And he was a really good client. We had done a lot of business, and we had actually smoked some weed together one time. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll come out there sometime. So every once in a while we would touch base. And so during this time, I'm also I'm traveling with my girlfriend, and we always do like dinners, me and her and I, because I'm always so busy. But on Friday and Saturday nights, we always do like a date night. So we
Okay.
always
Okay.
go out. That's how my Instagram got to what it is, because I was always posting the food, because I'm in real estate, so I'm traveling around the city, and I'll just eat wherever I'm close to. I rather do that than to eat at like McDonald's or Wendy's or something. I rather just eat at whatever the local restaurant is. And
Right.
I'm posting food pictures, and then I'm traveling. So people had kind of been telling me for a long time to do like a food blog or do a travel blog. And I was like, maybe, I don't know. In Chicago, Chicago is filled with foodies. Chicago is definitely a foodie town. So
For
it's a
real.
lot of that already. And I wasn't sure about the travel space and like what that even meant. I did everything on my own anyway. So I guess there was some value to that. But other than that, I just didn't know what any of that meant. So I really kind of put it off to the side. And then I came up with the idea, because people were kind of just kept telling me about it. And I said, well, what if I could do a legal marijuana food and travel blog?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was like, okay, well, again, what does that mean? So then I started researching weed blogs, like who's doing a weed blog? Like, what does that
Right.
mean? And so I came across this article because I was thinking of maybe going out to California and doing some stuff. I kept on coming across these articles about Colorado and how that's
Mm-hmm.
where the culture was. And I came across an article in GQ magazine that says Al Harrington wants to be NBA's next marijuana mogul. And I was like, huh. And as I'm reading about it in his company, Viola, I'm reading about it, and And it's in Colorado. And he's talking about Colorado. So I'm thinking again, that's where my guy is at. So I called my client and I said his name is Adam, and I said, hey Adam, how's everything going out there? Like, are y'all in jail? Like, you know what I mean? What's up with Colorado? I haven't heard from you in a few months, you know? And he's like, oh no, well, we got this huge indoor facility in Colorado. We got a 40-acre farm outside of Portland, Oregon. We're in California doing stuff. We're in Michigan doing stuff. So I'm like, damn, bro, how you moving so fast? Like, how did that happen? You know? And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, well, I don't know if I told you, but my partner is Al Harrington.
Oh, damn.
Now, bro,
no, you failed to mention that, my guy.
bro, this is what I'll tell you. When he tells me this, I still have Al Harrington's picture on my computer.
Bro, you the golden child out here, law of attraction.
There's no bullshit. I said, Adam. I said, Viola, Al Harrington, that's your fucking partner? He said, yeah. I said, bro, I'm reading about you right now. He's like, oh, you saw the GQ magazine article? I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you see the Viceland episode? I'm like, hell yeah. It had a link to a Viceland episode. I'm like, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, I'm like, bro, that's why I'm calling you. So he was like, come out here. And so that was just last year around this time, matter of fact.
Wow.
So, because it was right before my birthday. My birthday is March 24th. So this is right before my birthday. So I was like, okay. And then he was like, well, matter of fact, he was like, why don't you come out here for 420? He's like, that'd be cool. And you can probably get some real cool stuff.
Right.
I was like, okay, cool. So I went out there for 420. I took my mom, just tell you how it all comes full circle, bro. I used to go on with my mom on her business trips traveling. You know what I mean? And now she's coming with me on my business trips. You know what I'm saying? Going to see my clients. Because I'm telling my client, like, I think I want to do a weed blog. He's like, dude, you can come here and take as many pictures and ask as many questions and do whatever you want. I'm like, oh, great. So I took my mom out there, went out there for 420. Again, my mom doesn't smoke weed or even drink.
She got that contact though.
Yeah, most definitely. And she's super cool. Like, my mom's super cool, bro. Like, I could smoke. I don't like smoking in front of her, but like, we was walking down the street and she was like, you still got that joint from yesterday? She's like, don't fly back with that. You might as well smoke that right now while we walk to where we going. You know what I mean? Like, that was her telling me, like, don't try to bring that through the airport. Smoke it now. Like, I'm like, okay, mom, you know, like, she's cool like that, you know? So anyway, I took her out there. That shit was cool. But, one of my homeboys that was kind of encouraging me to do the site, I saw him when I came home, and I told him I was going out there to Denver, and he was like, how'd it go? And I told him, I said it went well, but my pictures kind of sucked because I had just bought a real camera. I bought a Canon camera, a Canon 77D. I bought that in January. I had just got a chance to use that in January of last year. I went to Cartagena, Colombia, and that was my first time actually using my camera, a real camera, on vacation, which is priceless to me, by the way. If anybody listening, like, you got to get a real camera, like, with a wide angle lens. Because, like, again, like, going to Cape Town and not being able to capture the mountain because I didn't have a wide angle lens. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's heartbreaking, seriously. But anyway, so I told my guy, I said, man, my pictures, honestly, my pictures kind of suck. I hate my pictures. And he was like, look, bro, he had just quit his job, his corporate America job. He quit his corporate job, and he was doing his videography and photography full time. And he was like, man, if you get another opportunity like that, let me know and I'll just help. You know what I mean? You don't have to pay me nothing right now. We'll kind of figure it out later. So I was like, okay, cool. So when I was out there in Colorado, my guys had told me I should really go out to Portland in the fall and film their fall harvest. And I was like, oh man, that's that sounds kind of dope. I could do that. So I did. I went out there. I filmed. I told my guys. Matter of fact, I told my guy, I'm like, look, we got this opportunity, and then I came up. I give you guys the game again, being transparent. The way I thought of it was like, well, I appreciate because my guy has a guy, like my cameraman has an assistant, right? So now all of a sudden I have a crew, and so we're meeting before we go out there. And I told him, I said, look, I appreciate you guys like helping me with my blog, but really, this needs to be bigger than that. This needs to be about what we do, like, for real. So, like, we do advertising for cannabis companies, basically, because that's really I see where a lot of the industry is going. A lot of my friends ask me about, how to get into the cannabis industry. And what I tell them all the time is like, you don't have to grow and sell cannabis to be in the cannabis industry.
For sure.
You feel me? Like people be so stuck up on like, oh man, they're gonna try to box us out. Well, man, bob and weave to where you see that they're not looking at, right? So okay, it might be hard for you to grow and sell cannabis, but it's not hard for you to market it, right?
Smart.
Like figure out another way. Anyway, so that's what I said. Like, again, we don't even really know what that means, right? We like just brainstorming, again, smoking, just kind of like figuring it out. Like, that's gonna be the move. Again, we're gonna go out there. My blog is what's gonna get us in the door, right? Because I'm doing this for my blog, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also offer a service. Like we will also photograph and video and make it super dope. So anyway, so that's what we did. So man, in last September, we went out there. We did 2 days on Viola's farm. So again, I'm sorry, and I don't know if I clearly said the name of the company. The company is Viola Extracts, full name.
Mm-hmm.
They're based out of Colorado, but they're in Oregon and California and Michigan, and they're working on more states as well. But and again, it's Al Harrington's company. He's kind of like obviously the name of he named it after his grandmother, but he's the face of the company, and he promotes it really well.
So take me back a bit. Let's talk about traveling and kind of weed culture in different areas you've been
Yeah,
internationally besides the States.
yeah. So that's the thing. You would be surprised. All the traveling I've done, I have not been to Amsterdam, and it's almost like a crime. You know,
Wow.
the funny thing is I've traveled, I've traveled to all those places I was saying before, but when I travel internationally, I never brought weed with me, but it was a cartridge. I didn't bring any flour. I just put a cartridge. But I always was able to find weed where I was at. Like when I went to Cape Town, South Africa,
Yeah.
it was really interesting when I got off the plane. As soon as you walk through like the small little headway, system that would lead you to the actual airport building, there were police
Mm-hmm.
there with dogs. We had to put our carry-ons on the other side of the hallway, and they had a dog walk past everybody's bag to like see if anybody had anything on them.
Wow.
And again, this was when we were getting off the plane. So obviously they were looking for like drugs. I've never really been one to like travel with weed. I always could find it when I'm there.
So how is weed culture a little bit different in different areas? Like, do you find that, besides the lingo being different, but you just find that people get down in different ways in different countries? Like, what are some differences?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like when I was in Egypt and they had me smoking hash, I was smoking hash with the hashish with one of our tour guides, and one of the guys at the hotel. Really nice hotel too.
Can
we
you
was
break it
kicking.
down for the people so they understand what hash oil is?
Yeah, so hashish. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, like hashish, and actually hashish. I'm actually not familiar with actually how it's made. I think they use pressure to make it. Hashish is one of the few ones that I actually don't know how it's made because you don't see that a lot in the States. That's more something overseas, especially in the Middle East. But it's just like
Right.
a condensed, it's like concentrated marijuana, and you smoke it in a pipe. So, but it looks like, honestly, it looks like mud or like putty, like a brown putty or
Mm-hmm.
something. But it's very powerful, and it's just a marijuana concentrate. So yeah, so I was smoking that there. Bali is one of those places where you do not try to smoke weed. Now, it was a guy that told me that
Really?
it's a weed. Well, again, a lot of the Asian countries, they take marijuana very serious, very serious.
Oh, I know Singapore. Was it potential death?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, and again, I haven't been there, but that's one of the places, today I wouldn't even I don't even try. Now again, you go somewhere like Jamaica, they're trying to sell you weed before you even get out the airport. You know what I mean? You
Right.
go to people always say, "Oh, Jamaican weed is garbage." You just have to know this for all the tips. I know a lot of people go go to Jamaica, right?
Right.
If you go to Jamaica, number one, do not buy the first weed that you see. I usually, and this is really everywhere I travel. This is my general method of getting weed when I travel places. Right, I usually don't ask a cab driver or anyone that I'm going to see for a brief period of time. I
Mm-hmm.
ask people that work at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
because they have a job. You know what I mean? So if they
Right.
see you in the wrong direction, like, you know
Right.
what I mean?
They got
Like,
something to lose. They got some skin in the
exactly,
game.
exactly. And like, if they send you off, like, bro, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Am I going to see you? Or am I going to see you, my guy? Like,
You know what I
so-
mean? Yeah. So anyway, that's just my general rule of thumb. Really, most other places. Okay, so this was the thing. Again, I was just in Tanzania, and I had my cartridge with me in Tanzania, and it was so crazy because they was trying to sell me weed. There, I was in Arusha, which is a town that you take when you went before you do like the safaris on the mainland of Tanzania. You go to a real touristy town. So it's a beautiful city. I loved Arusha. It's probably my favorite part of the entire trip was being in Arusha. I've been to Egypt before, and I've been to South Africa, but Tanzania, Arusha was the first place where the people actually, like the women actually wore the African print.
Mm.
So it was like really, like, but it was different from the states. In the states, they always match from head to toe with the same print, and over there, they would matching colors and prints with
Yeah.
different. Man, with their heads from the head to toe, man, it was real colorful. You know what I mean? It was beautiful. I really, really enjoyed it. So that was that. But in Tanzania and Arusha, they was trying to sell me some weed, and it was some dirt weed. It was like super brown. It just looked terrible. But I let them hit my vape cart. I let them hit my vape pen.
Why'd you do that to them?
You know what I mean, bro? Because they had never seen one before, and I was actually at a market, so it was a bunch of them, and they was trying to sell me stuff, and I bought some stuff, but I was standing around talking. As I bought a bunch of stuff, they was trying to get me to like buy some weed. I'm like, bro, y'all don't even understand. I showed them I got a medical marijuana card, so I
Yeah.
showed it to them. They couldn't believe it. They was calling me the witch doctor. I let them all I let a bunch of them hit the pen. Like they couldn't believe it. I feel like I made that day. They was super happy.
Yeah.
That fucked their head up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
they didn't know. They was like, before they hit it, they was like, that marijuana, like it, we, like, yeah. They had never
Yeah.
seen it. So yeah, that kind of fucked them up. They was taking pictures with me. It was kind of funny. Yeah, but that was kind of dope. Man, one of my favorite weed stories was just more of a domestic when I was trying to find some weed in San Francisco. And
Mm-hmm.
this was years ago before they legalized it. I was out there with my girl, and I was walking through San Francisco, and I actually Googled it. I remember I Googled where to find weed, and they said there's this area called Hippie Hill. I'm sure people familiar with San Francisco know where that is. That's like on Ashbury Street where all the hippies, were known to get or whatever. I went into Hippie Hill. I told my girl to wait for me at a store. I went to Hippie Hill and I found a Rasta in the park. And I was like, yo, bro, no, you got some weed. Like, he was smoking some weed. I'm like, yo, where the weed at? He's like, oh, let me take you to her. And she had a whole bunch of it looked like hippies all around, like deadheads. They was just like kind of laid out on the grass all around her, right?
Right.
It's kind of like here. And I'm like, her? He was like, yeah, bro, her. He was like, hey, take care of my man. She's like, come sit down. Right? Bro, it's an old white lady. I come sit down with her. She opened up her bag. Bro, she had about 20 jars and like 2 duffel bags. That
Yo.
was just so what, bro? It looked like now I look at it, looked like she had a mobile dispensary, bro.
She did.
I feel to this day, I got something called blue cheese from her. I remember this. Yo, that was some of the best bud I have ever smoked to this day. And I bought it from an old white lady in the park.
In San Francisco.
San Francisco on my mama.
Wow, bro. I mean, I think cannabis tourism or whatever fancy word they're going to come up with it. I think that's the thing, man. I think you're really at the forefront of something, and even when it comes to business, you're at the forefront of the industry. Being involved is something that excites a lot of us. I'm in Texas, so the way the laws work out here is going to be wild. But I think you're legal in Chicago, right?
No, it's legal for medical
For
use.
medical, not for recreational.
No, not for recreational. And Chicago has some of the highest rules and like the highest requirements needed for you to be able to qualify too. Yeah, it's super, super high for them.
But you got a foot on the board, and I think that was one of the other reasons I was interested in talking to you, just to kind of hear your stories, because I mean this is about to be a big thing. People have been engaging for a long time, but now you can create a legal business around it. I mean, that's your site. So on top of that, bro, what other experiences have you had traveling that just kind of changed things for you, that really maybe open your eyes to something new? Maybe even in terms of just being a black man from Chicago, man. Did you have any experiences in Africa or just anywhere? You mentioned at 12, someone was like, I hate how black people are treated in the States, but anything else like that kind of resonated?
A lot of different looks. So quickly, when I was in my first trip to Africa was Egypt. You know, because I wanted to see us and some of our greatness. I didn't want to go to West Africa first and do the sad part of Africa. I didn't want that to be my first trip to Africa. You know, I was like, I want to see us in some glory before I
They
make it.
got PR issues, my guy. They got the PR issues. I bang with West Africa heavy. They
Yeah,
got
I
PR
want no,
issues.
and I want to go this year. I want to go this year. I
Okay.
just know that it's a lot there. In the same way, I knew that it was a lot there when I went to Zanzibar. 'Cause Zanzibar is no different, right? Zanzibar is very heavy on the slave. You know what I
Mm,
mean? But that's the history.
yeah.
But one of the things that changed me, one of the things that changed me in Africa, like going to Africa for the first time in Egypt, and I went down all the way to the south to Aswan and Nubia. Man, the people were so happy to see me or see us. You know what I'm saying? Like we were in Aswan for 2 days, and at first I thought people they were just gonna be asking for money when they came up, but people were coming up to us and they were like, "Brother, brother, Nubian American, Nubian American." Welcome home. You know, they would come up, shake leave, like, welcome home, brother. Like, I was like, yo, they had me walking down the street, damn near about to cry, bro. All of us.
Right.
My mom, they were like, Queen, Queen, welcome home, Queen Nefertari, Queen Nefertari.
Nubian American. Wow.
Yeah, Nubian American. Yeah, brother. They would say, brother, brother, brother. Hey, our skin is the same. So that was dope. Probably one of the more recent ones. That was in 2016. The more recent one was just last year when I went to Cartagena, Colombia. I went to Palenque, San Bastillo, Palenque. Have you heard of that?
I haven't, but I'm about to go to Cartagena, so I'm excited to hear about this.
Oh, bro, yes. So you about to go to Cardi, bro? You have to go to San Bastillo, Palenque. So Palenque is the first free city from European rule in all of both the Americas,
Wow.
right?
Not including the Caribbean?
I want to say yes because I know where you're going with that, with the Haiti thing. I'm just not. I would have to look at my timelines, but I know it is recognized as the first free
Got
city.
you. Vibe with it. Vibe with it. Don't let me fuck up the flow. Go with it, bro.
No, I welcome. Bro, you know, I welcome that. I'm not. I just want to be that. But again, it's one of those things that again, if you pull it up, it will pop right up. You know what I'm saying? It
Okay.
is first free city in all of the Americas from my mama, and it was founded by black runaway slaves.
Wow.
And it's called Palenque. And it's still one of them. Like, it was several cities. So there's one guy, Boris Viejo. He was captured. Obviously, that wasn't his name, but that's the name that they used for him. He was captured from Africa and brought to Cartagena. And he tried to escape several times. And on like the fifth or fourth or fifth time, he escaped with several people and they ran into the mountains. And then they can't went back and they helped other people escape. And this went on for a while to the point that they formed villages in the mountains called Palenque, right?
Mm.
And then they freed so many people that they was able to create armies, right? And they created really the first underground railroad. Like one of the things that they would do is they would actually braid maps in the hair of the guys and the women and send them back in and to be recaptured. And when they went back
Wow.
with all the rest of the slaves, they would copy the maps in their head and see how to get away, and then they would all get away. Like this went on, bro. This went on for so long. So the king of Spain, he was angry, so he sent the his army into the mountains to try to fight. But the Africans, they had built strong armies and good military, even without having a lot of the obviously everything that the Spaniards had. So after years of fighting, the king of Spain asked for a truce and said that they can be free if they agree to stop calling Boris Viejo their king, and if they stop stop helping slaves get away.
And what
And
they say.
they agreed to that, but they still helped the slaves get away. And the truce only lasted, I want to say, for like 2 or 3 years. But Boris Viejo was able to actually walk through the streets of Cartagena as a free man.
Wow.
Before he actually did it foolishly, they say. I don't know what that actually means, but they say that one day he walked in, I guess maybe without all his guards, he thought it was sweet, and then they
Right.
snatched him up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He did it one too many times, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he actually was able a few times to walk through the streets as a free man.
Wow.
Yeah, so that site, they still teach the African languages and the African religions to this day.
Yo, man, that's so timely, bro.
Yeah.
That's timely.
Along with Spanish and Christianity, they teach that as well, because Cartagena is a very Catholic, Christian Catholic country.
Yeah, anything the Spanish touch. Anything the Spanish touch.
Well, that was something else I learned. Cartagena was actually the center of the Spanish Inquisition for 200 years. So for 200 years, they burnt people alive, slaves, natives, and Europeans, if they were not only Christian, but Catholic specific. They burnt you alive. Yeah, there's a torture museum in Cartagena.
Oof.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro, from the Spanish Inquisition. Yo, that travel is amazing, bro. Like, I didn't know all that. I just wanted to get away that week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I literally Googled. I had never been to Colombia, but I had always wanted to go. And that day that I decided to go, that I decided to book a trip, I just Googled who has the best weather. Right. This time of year, what country, and Colombia was top of the list.
It's such a beautiful experience because, now that I'm in the Black travel space a little bit, I see all these pictures from Cartagena, people posting up at all the same damn places, right? Same picture with 50 different people. And I've never heard any of these stories. So I really appreciate you bringing that extra bit of detail, because this might inspire somebody like myself even to go and see more, to ask more questions, be like, nah, there's supposed to be some history here. Don't give me the bullshit tourist version. Like, show me the torture museum, show me the ugly shit.
Yeah. It's a lot of that. Yeah. And that's right in the center of town too. So, it's all there. But yeah, maybe, a lot of people, they don't go that deep. You know what I mean? Like, I know people that have gone to Palenque and didn't really have any understanding of what they were seeing, or why they were even there. But they got cool pictures in front of there's a lot of street art in Palenque now. So there's like some really beautiful. One of them it says, I love being Black.
Yep. You see that everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's Palenque.
Okay.
Yeah, Palenque. Yeah.
I know how to get there, man. I know how to get there.
Yeah.
I'm running somebody's cornrows. We got it.
Right. Exactly, bro. It's deep. Like, it's so deep. Yeah, and that's why I said I could have go deeper. I just, again, I found out about it and then I read up on it. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I traveled so far. I've been in the States, but nobody ever told you. My history teachers failed me. Nobody told me it was still there today. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, bro. You go there today.
History is a joke the way it's taught, man. And I'm low-key proud of myself for the way that I've been selecting guests to be on the program, because we just met for the first time, this conversation, but you struck me as somebody who's looking for a little bit more, who's got that curiosity, and you just exposed a whole bunch of people to something that they might not even know, and they've probably been to these cities.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have always been kind of like that person that just kind of, and I do attribute a lot of that to travel, but I always, talk to you about anything. You know what I mean? I know a lot about a lot, that I'm familiar with a lot of different subjects. So, and I think that helps when you travel. Travel makes you a little more worldly, and you can speak on different things because you've seen it, or if you've got the ears to listen to other people tell you their stories, the same thing, a lot of wisdom comes through a lot of pain. So if you got somebody that can tell you some game, give you some game, you listen to them, you better pay attention to that, and hopefully you can make that. So that's always been my thing,
Before we round out, could you drop a little bit of wisdom for some of the brothers that might be listening, other men of color, because we're not really represented a lot, traveling. Like, what would be the one thing you think that they could get out of traveling, or even getting their passport, the possibility of travel? What do you think? What would you share?
Number one is get out the country. That would be the number one thing, is get out the country. I know a lot of my guys, that's not possible for some of my guys for a lot of different reasons. They got child support, they got, felonies or whatever. So That can be a hurdle. If that's the hurdle, I would say, look at a lot. If you're gonna do domestic, there's a lot of places that you could go that's not on the beaten path so much. Like people always think of like going to LA and stuff like that. But I love San Francisco. I love going to San Diego. You know what I mean? Like those are really dope places, and they're not expensive. And there's kind of even more stuff to do in those places than it is, in LA. But if you can get your passport, man, getting your passport is so crazy because it might be a little bit more expensive for a plane ticket, but if you do go somewhere like Asia, like Bali, like it's so much cheaper to do stuff there, and you really get to see a whole nother way of life, traveling when I was a young kid going even to Jamaica when I was in high school and stuff. I remember like seeing the kids with no shoes or seeing like all of that had a profound impact on me. It made me way more appreciative of what I have now. So I tell my guys now, like I got guys that would go to Vegas and spend $10,000, $20,000 in Vegas on the weekend. I'm like, bro, you know how many what about my trips would
You
be
say
so
20 racks?
yeah, spend 20 racks. I know people that spend 20 racks on lost basically 20 racks in a weekend. They ain't win. They lost 20 racks in a weekend, man. Like, bro, you know what I mean? You know what my trip could have been like? And even that, right? I just had a conversation with a guy in the barbershop the other day who was telling me that he had to spend $15,000 to go to Dubai. And I said, bro, why you got to spend $15,000 to go to Dubai? He's like, man, that's how much it costs to go over there. I said, well, if you like me, I went to Dubai when I went to Cape Town, but I just staggered my flight and I flew to Emirates. So I don't know if you're familiar. I'm sure you are. But if you fly a lot of country of origins of charter of their flights. So like again, the UAE, you fly fly a carrier. God damn, my bad. It's the weed, bro. If you fly their carrier, if you fly the UAE's carrier, the Emirates, right? You have a layover longer than 8 hours. They will give you a hotel, free transportation from the airport to that hotel, round trip, and you will get to see Dubai for free.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I did when I went to Dubai. I just made it so I had like a 16-hour layover, right? And then I got it so I arrived like, sometime at night, and then, super late at night, so I could take a nap, get to the hotel, take a short nap, and then wake up and have pretty much a whole day in Dubai for free, and then go and continue on my trip. I did the same thing when I went to Qatar. So again, it's ways that you can finagle things. You don't always have to spend a crazy amount of money going places. Like you can go places fairly cheap.
For sure, for sure. And you guys already know where to get these passports out from Men of Color. Actually, you might not know this, Mike. We sponsor a Man of Color to get his passport every single month.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, you did tell me that. Yeah, I saw that. That was real interesting. I was going to ask you more about it.
Yeah, man, for sure. Appreciate that. And we're going to round things out. Now that we rounding out, bro, tell us what you got coming up. What next trips? What next projects? You mentioned the blog a little bit. Tell us what you got going on, bro.
Yeah, so again, my new venture, I launched my website, wetravelfood.com. So that's my new thing. I got my website going. I'm actually doing a blog right now. It's a lot of gallery, so it's a lot of photos of my previous travel. But I do have a lot of new content that I'm about to put out from my harvest of last fall with Viola's farm. And then some of the newer stuff that I'm doing right now, working with a couple of the companies here in Illinois on some of their stuff. I'm filming for some of them. And then I'm also looking to go out and shoot some more stuff in Viola. Yeah, so again, it's wetravelfood.com. You can follow me at Mike G to God, MikeGDagod. And also my Instagram for wetravelfood.com is also live. And it's just that it's We Travel Food. And at We Travel Food. And so again, yeah, I just got a lot of content, bro. I'm still shooting a lot. I have a lot of restaurants here in Chicago asking me to shoot for them.
Bro, we talked about this before we started, but we didn't even talk about the food on this thing. His food pictures, 'cause I don't be on IG to be gaining weight just looking at people's shit, but like his photos, they be taken so well that I literally drool. And you had some bro, you had pimento cheese butter, honey butter.
Yeah. On the chicken sandwich.
Dude, I was about to throw my phone across the room, bro. I was sick. That had to be delicious.
Man, bro, the food is super good, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. Really, that's me taking the food pictures is what had people that, and the travel pictures is what people was really asking me, to do the blog. They were like, "Oh, you should, do it." So it means a lot, man. It just it's very encouraging me to keep going. And so yeah, man. So I post a lot of food pictures. I post a lot of marijuana pictures. I'm trying to partner with a couple of companies so I can explain it better. One reason that I haven't posted as much marijuana as I really want to is only I still post a lot in my stories, but I don't post a lot on my page is because Instagram will delete you.
Yeah, for marketing, you got to watch terms of service and stuff right now until it becomes a thing, a little bit more socially acceptable. Y'all marketing out there, y'all got to be careful.
Yeah, that's okay. WeTravelFood.com. It's gonna be there, and then
Smart.
on my Instagram, I'm gonna show as much as I can. But yeah, everything will be on WeTravelFood.com. My trips, I actually don't know. I'm actually a really last minute traveler. The Tanzania trip was probably the most advanced trip that I planned last year, and that was maybe a month and a half in advance. Portland, we knew we were going to Portland, but the dates kept changing on us because it was a harvest and it was nature, so outdoor growth. So it like bounced around like crazy. So we were kind of flexible on that. But we're trying to figure out where we're gonna go right now. I was actually telling my girl that I really wanted to do something. My birthday is March 24th, but I think I might stay here to see out the launch of this site because I actually have a bunch of giveaways to give away. I'm giving away a bunch of gift cards. I partner with a bunch of restaurants around Chicago. They gave me a bunch of gift cards to give away to people. So I really want to kind of do that and maybe kind of hang out around the city and then probably hit maybe Amsterdam. And I'm definitely hitting Canada this year. I know that for sure.
And actually, I got another buddy on the show, Will Edmond, who just did a video talking about buying medicinal marijuana up there. So maybe y'all can link up. Yeah, we'll talk about that, bro. But dude, thanks for kicking it with us on the show, man. Fuck it, man. We ran long on this one, man, but it's a lot of stuff, man. We learned a lot, travels all throughout it. But I think your story is a great one. I think people should definitely hop on, follow you on IG, just see what this looks like, because this is really some new wave shit. Like really, really. So proud of you for doing what you're doing, man. And thanks for spending the time to share all this with us, man. I hope to have you back on the show, and I hope people follow, because between weed, travel, and food, outside of sex, what more do you need? And that is definitely a bannable offense on Instagram.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my story on your platform as well. I'm proud of you and everything that you're doing.
Man, appreciate that. And if you got any homies that need passports that are eligible, and you know what eligible is, you let me know, man. It's investing in men of color, man. So we're gonna rock. We're gonna sign off. Happy early birthday in advance, and we'll catch you next time, Mike.
Okay, thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Peace. There you go, Mike G the God, Mike Malcolm, founder of WeTravelFood.com. Hope you all check out what he's got going on, and definitely, at least for the food pictures, my goodness, I literally drool when I check out my Instagram feed and see some of his posts up there. But love the story. Thank you so much for your energy and time, bro. And I hope everybody listening got a ton of value out of that. I think he's a great example of success, modern success, and success that's possible for everybody. He took 3 of his passions, 3 of his interests, just combined them, and now he's doing the only thing like it in the market. What a dope thing. And what an interesting perspective to see a man of color, a black man, having success in the budding cannabis industry. I think that's super dope. So no corny puns, no corny ass jokes about weed and catching a contact just from listening to the interview. Like, no, this is a changing reality in society in the States. So we're just gonna have to get over it, or learn to accept it, embrace it, just lean into the experience. So again, hopefully everybody got a ton of value out of that session. As we round out, wanted to remind everybody that we do sponsor a man of color every month to get his passport. So if you know one, if you are one, hit us up on IG. And if you don't have an Instagram or Twitter, or you just cannot get down with the socials, who knows what the situation is, shoot me an email personally at kimonojack@pointnoirshow.com. So that's kimonojack, KIMONOJACK at pointnoirshow.com, POINTNOIRSHOW.com. SportsCom. Got my real announcer voice, when they have to talk real fast after car commercials for their liability disclaimers. So yeah, shoot me a message. I'll be sure to get back to you. We really want to help you out. So if you know somebody, if you are somebody, and of course you are somebody if you're listening right now, hit us up if we can help when it comes to supporting you getting a passport. That all being said, hope to hear from you all next week as you tune into our 41st session of the Point Noir podcast. Stay well, travel safely, and I'll see you next time. Peace.